Good morning, everybody. Welcome into today's media availability with Knighthawks head coach Mike Hasen ahead of our game at home this Saturday against the Halifax Thunderbirds. We only have a couple of people for questions today, so we will start with Griffin Della Penna, then we will go to Sam, and then we will follow that with Craig. So, Griffin, the floor is yours.
Andrew, thank you. Coach, congrats on the win. What was the messaging after that win on the road against Georgia, season high in goals, that you guys just kind of put it all together? I know in a lot of these availabilities, we've talked about just those few lapses in the game that have kind of cost you at times. What did you talk to the team about afterwards?
Biggest thing is to take it and enjoy it because it has been a bit of a while that we were on the right side of it. But yeah, no, it was we one good thing is we played a full 60 minutes there. We did not get that breakdown by any stretch of imaginations, and I think a lot of it, some of it comes with being a little fresher. Our offense getting the extra touches. Like I think we were 19 for 29 on the faceoffs by Mike, and that was a big factor where our guys can just more concentrate on the jobs versus chasing a little white ball around for 30 faceoffs at the end of the day. We were much better for it, and they were again fresher mind, fresher legs, and they were able to execute a heck of a lot better than we have been recently.
Well, you teed into my next question perfectly because Mike came in his NLL debut and looked really good overall. What did you see for, his dynamic obviously has done great in the PLL, but now transferring over to limited box experience. How do you think he looked?
Yeah, he looked really good. Again, I think he got the best of Jeremy early. Jeremy kind of switched things around and he adjusted and started winning again and won it consistently for us. So yeah, it's definitely nice to possess that ball. And again, it's one of those things I said to you guys, like we trusted the 10 guys we have on the floor. We know they're battling. We need them to continue to battle. But it's a little bit nicer when we're battling and getting the ball in situations into sticks that we're ready for and we can move and then we can take advantage of. So yeah, he was really good. He was intense. And again, he was all fired up to say the least.
In terms of your guys' offense, a lot of different characters stepped up. Ryan Lanchbury, again, is proving that he's one of the top talents in the league right now against his old team player of the week. Connor Fields kind of looked like he was back in a groove, and you had some younger guys also step up. How would you kind of categorize the offense's performance as you look from last week in comparison to the previous games this year?
Yeah, you know what? Everything just clicked, and again, they kept to it. And I know I'm talking in simplicity here, but the opportunities that they had, they buried their opportunities, and they were good, and they just got into a bit of a groove. And one thing or another, and it was kind of maybe one of the blessings of our schedule, the way it's kind of working out, is that we always match up well against Georgia. For whatever reason, our group is just there's a little bit of extra confidence, and it's a great game. They're fast. They're you know they're on hands, which kind of bodes well, I guess. I think for our group is that we can use our athleticism as well. And yeah, like I say, it was great seeing everybody. Hogger got his first two and really chipped in with a little bit of energy there. And yeah, and Fieldsy kind of committed to what he wanted to do versus trying to sit and wait to see what the opposing defenses were going to do to him. He kind of imposed his will a little bit and created greater opportunities and greater openings for everybody else.
On the Halifax side, they were off last week, but in their previous game had that huge second half comeback, scored 10 straight for their first win. What type of challenges do you think they present as also a team that, showed flashes in their first three games, but then also, kind of starting to put it all together here late?
Yeah, exactly. I think that they can go off at any particular point. And again, they had a couple new guys, I think, line up early that were trying to feel their way around, and Cody not being in the lineup as well for them is kind of, like I say, not the greatest look or feel for them. So they had to figure their stuff out, but that's the potential they have. And again, that's going to be our messaging here this week. And I guess the biggest thing is that we can't take a shift off. Albany took a couple shifts off and they came back to bite them really at the end of the day. So we just we want to continue on the roll that we started, and start off on the right foot, getting that loose ball. And again, you look at Wiz. Hopefully, we're going to give him a bit of a battle that face-off's not going to be so easy. and then we can get some sessions and start from there and just kind of hopefully keep rolling.
Their goalie situation has changed a little bit over the last few weeks too. Warren Hill was pulled in that game in the third quarter, and then you saw Hutchinson come in late. How are they two type of different goalies? I know like before this season, we've talked about Ryan Hartley, how he's a much different goalie than Riley Hutchcraft. What have you seen from Halifax with maybe two different looks for your offense in this game?
Yeah, I think they're similar, but they're different. Warren is a little bit more reactionary. He's lower in his stance, and he kind of exposes the balls a little bit. And then Drew there is pretty little, compact and stands a little more upright. And again, just different looks towards the net. And we just we talked to the guys here because again, we had great possessions against Dauber there last week, and then when Angus jumped in, totally different goalie, but just trust your stick, trust your eyes, and again, as long as the ball's swinging back and forth, make the most of the opportunities. It's going to be the same thing here for us. Is trust your stick. If your stick sees it, put it there, put it to the spot you wanted to get it to, and that's on any goalie. And this weekend it's not going to be any different, to tell you the truth.
Last one for me, 90s night on Saturday for obvious reason against Halifax. Just how important do you think it is from your position for, your players to also see some of the legends of the past from the 90s and early 2000s this weekend to, honor what lacrosse really means to this community?
Yeah, and 100%. It's very important for me personally, being part of that group in the late 90s, not early, but late 90s. Like there are a lot of good players and a lot of guys that set the tone for what this franchise is. And I know, ownership wise, it's a different franchise, but name and city and what we're about really hasn't changed that much. And for them to see, where it started from, the guys that, laid it on the line and, gave them the opportunity to have success in Rochester, get paid a little bit more in Rochester. There's roots there, and to see those roots and what they did, I think it's very important. I'm very, very proud to be one of the older guys that wore this uniform. And again, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be nice seeing those colors back on the floor too here for once, anyways.
Yeah, they do look pretty good. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, they really look sharp. Thank you.
Hey, Coach. How are you, bud?
Good. Thanks.
Good. He pretty much covered most of what I wanted to ask. But just I was thinking about one thing. What you're playing this team now coming up, Halifax, and it's going to be 2 straight weeks. When you go to prepare for a team, is there a different sort of way that you do preparation when you're going to face a team week to week, on a back-to-back like this? Whereas, maybe you don't want to show them everything or how do you prepare for two games in a row against the same team?
Yeah, you know what? Again, the same preparation is we still prepare week to week, right? Like the one thing moving into next week, and we'll jump ourselves too far ahead, obviously, but we'll have fresh memories of what worked, what didn't work, and we can make those adjustments as need be moving into that second week. But yeah, like I say, week wise, it's the same preparation. It's just fresh memories leading into the next week.
Goaltending situation still the same for you coming into this week? How's the health going on your goaltending situation?
Yeah. Ryland's improving. Hasn't put the pads on yet, so yeah, Hutchie's there, and Kevin's going to be our backup again.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck this week, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Ripper, do you have anything?
What did Graydon Hogg kind of bring to that left side of the offense? Obviously, we saw what he can do, when he has the ball in his stick. But what other things did he do well for you?
He just brought really good energy, and in his game, he brought a little bit of confidence. Compare game 1 in Vancouver versus game 2 here last weekend. Like he kind of knew what to expect. So he's a little more composed. But he brought lots of energy, and again, 2 opportunities that he had, he buried, but he did a good job getting off the floor as well, trying to limit those transitions late, especially late in the game where, guys are going to start cheating up the floor. Like he was pretty smart and made sure that we had a D guy on the floor kind of waiting for them. So a lot of little things that don't show up in the score sheet, but he was good. He was definitely good.
Brendan, you'd be the last man here if you have anything for Hazer.
I do. Hey, Coach, I got in late, so I'm assuming that everybody's already asked you about Sisselberger, so I'll just listen to the recording so you don't have to repeat yourself.
No worries.
But one of the things I did want to talk about, I mean, especially the first few games this year, Lanchbury has become more of a scoring threat. Last year, obviously, he was a facilitator more than maybe a scorer. Can you just talk about the maturation of his game and how he's become more of a scoring threat this year?
Yeah, no, again, Lance has got one of those deceiving shots as well. It's not very hard, but it's quick and it's accurate. And if he sees it, he's going to pull the trigger, and those ones were dropping for him. But yeah, the ball's in the stick a ton. Again, he sees the floor well. He and Smitty work really well, and to have a guy that's a bit of a quarterback that will be able to pull a trigger for us is huge because like Fields is going to get his. Smitty's going to get his. We need that. Make sure we got that secondary scoring. And right now he's not a secondary scorer. He's pretty much our primary guy. But the more we have on the floor with the ability to put the ball in the net, the better off we're going to be. And right now he's doing a great job.
And then just getting back, this is not necessarily a Sisselberger question, but a team question as a whole. Obviously, we talked the first couple of weeks about how the struggle at the faceoff X gave the offense less possessions. There was 15 less possessions, 20, this, that, and the other thing. Obviously, last week you got more offensive possessions. It made the transition game look a little crisper. Certainly, the defense was more fresh because they weren't on the floor as much as they had in the last couple of games. And not that one person necessarily can change the entire complexion of the team, but what was it about that game in Georgia that just seemed that everything looked so much crisper from every phase of the game?
Yeah, you know what? And it kind of quickly did mention it, but fresher mind, fresher legs. They're able to play more to their strengths. Again, right? Like we give our guys all the credit. We put them in the position where they had to chase it around a little white yellow ball off of the face-off that we were playing legit face-off guys that put the ball in their stick into the areas that more often than not that they are comfortable receiving, where we had to go disrupt. So to have that kind of switch gears for us, where Mike had the ability to put it in a stick and hit our open guys, or when the guys did battle, it wasn't as long or as hard. It just helped everywhere because, as you said, I think we were 19 for 29. Last week we were 4 for 30 or whatever it was, right? So 15 extra possessions right there. Our Diaz not on the floor as much, so we're watching and getting some rest, and are always getting those extra touches that we knew they needed and to get that flow going. So, yeah, so great there. We'll see what this week's about going to be as well, because Jake is definitely one of the best. So Mike's going to have his hands full. We're going to have our hands full, but I like the matchup to see what it's going to do.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to end today's media availability. Hazer, we appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you this Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. See you Saturday.
All right. Thanks, everybody.